morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today it's time to have a look at the top 10 most expensive cards from EB-02. EB-02 is a weird set with a weird top 10, and we actually need to start off at number 13 here with the alternate art Anel. Alternate art Anel comes in at 8,000 yen, which is a decent amount for an alternate art. 8,000 yen, you're basically talking somewhere in the region here of $51. Which is a lot for a regular alternate art. To put that into context, the most valuable alternate art is a regular alternate art, not a manga or any of that. In OP09 was the Shanks, which was 2,000 yen. In OP10, it was Kazan, which was 5,000 yen. Anel here is 8,000 yen. And the answer here is really simple. I've told you a couple of times on this channel that this Anel is absolutely full-on broken. It is a ridiculous card, which is going to make Anel decks ridiculous. And that's your answer, basically. It is an astonishingly good card, and that means that the alternate art of it is therefore very sought after, even though it is just a regular alternate art. But honestly, having any alternate art up at that value, that should make everyone go, hang on a second, because, you know, just your ordinary everyday run-of-the-mill alternate art cards just do not get that high. So coming in at joint number 10 at about 13,000 yen, we've got Gold Bonnie and Gold Reiju. Now these are your reprinted leaders. Remember I told you in EB-02 we've got these reprinted leaders, and they are exactly the same as they were last time in terms of artwork, in terms of mechanics and things of that nature. However, the difference here is that we've got gold foiling on and gold detailing, and it's kind of beautiful. And they're textured and all of that. They do look absolutely stunning. I should say both of these are coming in at about 13,000 yen, which is $83. And bearing in mind, these are joint number 10. And essentially, this is our proof that the pull rates for these are actually quite low, and that they're not ones you're going to be pulling out constantly, and that these are going to be very sought after cards. If you want a general price here, the cheap ones, i.e. the ones that people generally aren't looking for, are on average going for about 6,000 to 8,000 yen. That is your ordinary everyday run-of-the-mill standard price for these gold cards. Something like a Carrot, for instance, is coming in at 8,000 yen, and something like a Sabo is coming in at 6,000 yen. These are the ones that, as a general rule, people are not excited about. These are among the cheaper ones. Yes, 6,000 yen is more than the price of a booster box. Like a booster box for EB-02, you're talking around about 5,500 yen. 5,300 if you want to be a pedant. So the fact that the cheapest ones are 6,000 yen here tell you that these are not one per box, and that the most expensive ones of these, and this list is riddled with these, they are going to set you back. As for Reiju and Bonnie here, it's really quite simple. These are decently playable cards. Both of these have proven to be pretty good cards in the past. Both of these have appeared in winning lists and all of that. And they're also pretty popular characters, and you add that together, and they end up on the list. Neither Bonnie nor Reiju is a particularly phenomenal deck right now. I don't think that's an unfair statement to make. Although, to be fair, Bonnie right now, in the OP09 meta in the West, is like 7% of the meta. So Bonnie is actually a decent card here. So that kind of explains it. There is actually one which isn't on the list but does deserve mentioning, and that is Gold Rob Lucci, which is also a very playable deck right now. That is coming in at around about 10,000 yen, and 10,000 yen, you're talking about $64. So moving up to number 9 then, we have got the Luffy Leader. That is the Luffy Leader from the set, not a gold Luffy Leader. There is one of those, we'll get there later. This is just the alternate art Luffy Leader from EB-02, the only actual new native mechanically unique leader that we get in this set. And the alternate art here is 13k. So the same as a second ago, but Generally trending a little bit higher, hence why I put it in at number 9. And generally here, we've got the only alternate art leader in the set. We've got a leader that looks pretty decent, although time will tell exactly how good it is. And of course, it's Luffy, which definitely doesn't hurt. Add it all up, and we're in at number 9. In at number 8, we have got the Gold Charlotte Pudding. Now, when we look at these gold leaders and we look at which ones are the most popular, the most sought after and all of that, essentially what we're doing here is mixing together playability and popularity with a dash of potential for the future. Charlotte Pudding has not proven to be a good enough leader so far. I love Charlotte Pudding. I think the potential in this leader is absolutely off the charts. I think it could be phenomenal, but we know there's more Big Mum Pirates coming in OP11, so we know there's more coming, more support and all of that. Look out for this in the future. I think this is largely just a popularity pick here, but it doesn't make it bad. In at number 7, also at 15k, we've got ourselves the alternate art, not really alternate art, but the gold foil leader Luffy. This is also 15,000, I should tell you, that's $96. Sorry, I didn't tell you for pudding, but it's the same price as Luffy. It will be fine. Maybe I'll put it on the screen, who knows. $95 for the 7 and 8 cards in the set. EB-02 is way more of a hit set than we were imagining, and it is basically because of these gold leaders. These gold leaders, as I'm calling them, make up 8 of the top 10. Well, I say 8 of the top 10. It's really 9 of the top 11 because we had a joint number 10, and honestly, it's 10 of the top 12 because I told you about the Lucci a second ago as well. Make no mistake about it, these are, with a couple of exceptions, the hits from the set. I'll let you decide how happy or sad you are about that. But the gold leader Luffy kind of makes perfect sense. It's been good since it came out. It was good in the OP05 meta. It's actually proving to be very good in the West in the OP09 meta. I've seen it popping up recently, winning in Japan in their meta as well. This is a deck, a leader, which has been perpetually good from release right up till now. And now we got a fancy version of it. This makes perfect sense. Plus it's Luffy and everybody loves Luffy. In at number 6, we've got Perona, again the gold leader, coming in at 17,000 yen, which is $109, which honestly makes me a little bit sad. Because I love Perona. Perona's one of my favourite characters and one of my favourite leaders. I kind of want the gold version of this, and there is absolutely no way I can justify spending $109 on the gold version of this leader. And Perona's another one which, you know, on release, Perona was good. Saw a bit of play. I mean, Perona pops up here or there. I don't think Perona is a bad leader by any stretch of the imagination. I think Perona is a decent leader. But I don't think Perona has proven to be like some phenomenal leader here. And yet, what we're seeing is Perona being very high up here. I think this is partly a popularity contest. I think partly this is, you know, people suggesting it might be good in the future. Either way, personally, I actually wish this was a tiny bit lower so I could pick it up. In at number 5, we got gold Boa Hancock coming in at 18,000 yen. 18,000 yen, smidge above. We've gone up to $115 here. And this is another one which I think is largely popularity. Now, don't get me wrong, Boa Hancock has been a very good blue deck for a while now. But we all know the best blue deck is Don Quixote do Flamingo. Like that's not a surprise at this stage. Everybody knows that is the best blue deck around. It's not Boa Hancock. So being this high when you're not the best deck around, at least the best deck in your colour, does seem slightly unusual. But then again, you look at it and you're like, you know what? It is Boa Hancock. People do actually properly love Boa Hancock, so you can kind of understand where they're coming from here. Okay, fine. Coming in at number 4, we've got the gold Yamato, and this one's coming in at about 20,000 yen. 20,000 yen, we've gone up to $128 here. And this one is very much a... people think it might be good, but mostly it's because Yamato's super popular. This is another leader I have long been a fan of. The fact that you've got double attack is huge. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a colour combination, maybe it's other leaders. This is one which I've always thought was going to end up being a great leader, and it just never worked. But there's got to be a chance, ladies and gentlemen. But also, bearing in mind, people love Yamato. In at number 3, also at 20,000 yen, we've got the Uta leader, and this one I do believe is popularity. It's not that I've never seen an Uta deck doing well over in Japan. I have. I have seen that. But every time I do, I'm like, ooh, Uta? That's not that good, is it? And that's kind of my point here. Uta has not been a powerhouse deck, and I don't think it's going to be a powerhouse deck anytime soon. And yet it ends up this high on the list. I think there's only one real explanation. People love Uta. But in at number 2, we've got the gold Anel, and this one makes perfect sense. Anel is fine as a character. People are all right. This is just people speculating Anel's about to be great. Because remember, I told you back at the start of the video that the number 13 card was the alternate art of Anel, which is way higher than an ordinary alternate art should ever be. And your explanation is it's a phenomenal card, like a genuinely phenomenal card, which is going to make Anel decks way better. And because Anel decks are about to be way better, people are speculating and going, well, if Anel's going to be good, then this Anel leader is also going to end up being a very popular, expensive card, so better pick it up now. And that just drives the prices right up. And then in at number 1, very obviously, anyone could have seen this coming. It's Manga Luffy. Obviously, it's Manga Luffy. Big question is, how much are we paying here? 120,000 yen, which is $770. Which is not phenomenal, but it is on the higher end. Not phenomenal, but on the higher end. To put it into context, the EB-09 Luffy in Japan is currently sitting at about 150. So this is a fair bit below that, 20,000 yen. And then obviously the one from EB-05 we know is an absolute beast. That one's at 400,000 yen, which, okay, fine, there is actually a very big difference there. But it's higher than your average. Not a huge amount higher than your average, but it is a little bit higher than your average that you generally tend to see here. So there is at least that. The lowest of the Luffy manga rares so far, but it's still a Luffy manga rare, so it still ends up being a little bit higher than some of its peers. There we go. That's what you need to know. The set as a whole without the gold leaders, looking at hits, would have been an underwhelming set. But that's an irrelevant point. We do have the gold leaders, and it is not an underwhelming set. There is a lot of value in these gold leaders. All of them are above the price of a booster box. But like I say, we're going up to 20,000 yen at the high end, which is quite impressive. So there we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. What do you think about these gold leaders and the set as a whole? Are you excited? Do you think Anel is going to be great? Tell me whatever you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.